Finally happening, guys. The bottom mount turbo build, keep AC build is happening now, starting today. Hopefully I can get it done in a month or two, sooner the better. These videos will probably be anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. That way people will actually watch them, because I could upload an hour video, but no one's gonna watch it all the way through. And I'm gonna just show, a new video each time I make progress on this car. And I'm starting off with taking the cats off today and getting it ready for the turbo manifold. I didn't really know a better way to start it. So it may be, kind of boring here starting out, but I'm already excited for this car to be done so I can get some pulls on the road. And it's gonna be so nice driving this car with air conditioning and the car looking like crap and being fast. So I'll put some links in the description. The whole point of these videos are to help you guys out. I can't record every step of the process because it's just me. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you probably recognize both of these E46s. These are both my cars, and I made a video over each of them to help decide on which one should get the bottom mount turbo for this series that we are starting today. And they're both 325s, they're both the same color, except this one's a freaking Sulev. And that really has, made me not want to put any money into it or mess with it, because this car here has a 5-speed ZF in it. Yes, a ZF. This 325 actually used to be my dad's car, and he bought it because of me, and he daily drove it roughly an hour to work and an hour home every single day. And he wanted a manual. We bought it automatic, MS45, and it was swapped to MS43 and 5-speed ZF, all the work done by me. So I really didn't want to see this car get sold to anyone else, so I purchased it. So obviously this is the car for this series. It is a lot rougher than this car over here body wise, but I figured, heck, it's strong underneath, the interior is really nice, and it has a ZF and MS45. Who cares what it looks like? Let's make, I guess a little bit of a sleeper, kind of by accident, but it's such a rough looking car, and it has really good suspension on it. It's not slammed or anything. It has factory sport suspension. It's been refreshed though. So it's a really comfortable car, has working air conditioning. So does this one, but I hate this car. But the clear coat is shot on it. But even after making a video over each of these, everyone else agreed that yes, this is the car that I should do the build on. And it'll just be a little bit of a sleeper. Pretty nice interior. And having the ZF is awesome because I'm not going to nuke it. I got the car on jack stands. This is probably where it's going to live for a month or two, hopefully just a month. And I mean, it's pretty rough. I mean, that bumper has some fitment issues there. It looks like it popped out. That's still better fitment than you guys running eBay rep M3 bumpers though, I can tell you that. And then that trim piece is broken. And the classic power steering reservoir leak, of course. That'll be easy fix, whatever. I haven't worked on this car in a very long time. He hasn't had any issues with it, so I haven't touched it. The oil pan gasket is terrible. It's always leaked, just not bad enough to mess with it. Considering he drove this car every day, we didn't want to, have this car out of commission for very long. But the pan's going to be coming off because of the drain fitting for the turbo that has to be welded on it. And I have a new gasket for that, so that will be fixed. Next is the exhaust leak. That's where that was coming from. I didn't even know this was like that. So at least, it'll make it a little easier to get this exhaust off since the bolts are already trying to come off on their own. This is actually a very pricey MagnaFlow stainless exhaust with the X pipe and the really nice muffler. I think this is one of the best sounding exhausts. I've had a car with a UUC on it, and I think this one sounds way better than a UUC. and I will be using this exhaust. This was my exhaust on my red car before I went turbo, and I had just put it on my dad's, you know, just to give it a nice tone, not too loud, but sounds kind of cool. And now I have my exhaust back, so I'm pretty excited about that. I will be cutting it. I've owned this exhaust for 6 or 7 years now, and it was kind of old when I even got it, and I don't really feel bad about cutting it. I finally came to the point to where I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna put a wide pipe on it going to a single 3-inch so that I can just run my down pipe from my turbo straight to this. So I'm pretty excited to know what this is gonna sound like. It shouldn't be like super loud, so it should kind of go along with the sleeper thing. And then of course I'm gonna have a dump tube for my wastegate, so it'll sound awesome wide open throttle. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off. It kind of already started to do that itself, and work my way up and get this engine mount off and put a block on this pan and jack it up a little bit and take off these cats. Cats are off. I'm actually going to cut them and see if there's anything left in these things, because I haven't been running a sap on this car since my dad bought it, or an EGR valve or anything, because it was tuned out. All this was tuned out, but it still had cats, so there's a chance they're hollow. I don't know yet. I didn't really show how to do this, because if you're turboing your E46, you probably already know how to do this, so don't complain about that. And plus, it's a pain in the butt to show, especially when I'm the only one recording. But you can get almost every single stud, usually the stud comes with it, out of the head from up top except 2. You might be able to get the other 2. They're the 2 bottom ones over here, but I usually get those after I take off the first bank, and then you can get the second bank off from underneath. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these open and see if they're any good so I can get some money. Oh, I am shocked because these things are pretty mint. I was expecting these to be all falling apart inside. So, like I said, you sell your cats and then you buy a turbo manifold, and then you get a free turbo manifold. This is the turbo manifold I will be using. It's a Spall turbo manifold. I got it off of bracingtuning.com. And this actually is a great deal because it's actually cheaper, a little cheaper than the CX Racing turbo manifold, and this will actually last. So like, you're going to install it once, you're probably not going to have any issues from the manifold itself. The only problem is it's cast, so it does like to rust easy. So I'll be cleaning it off with some brake cleaner and then putting this VHT flame-proof paint on it. I went with silver. I'm sorry I didn't go with the red. I didn't, you know, now it's going to be slower, I guess. But it also comes with this flange here if you want to make a relocation pipe for your wastegate. But I will not be doing that. I'm going to be welding in this hole here and just making a block-off plate, because my wastegate will actually be mounted to the turbo housing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing painted and get a coat on it so it'll actually last a little while before it starts to show rust. I know no one can really see it, but I'd like to keep it kind of nice. For the hardware I'm going to be using for this manifold is N54 exhaust studs. These are factory. I got these on FCP Euro along with the nuts. Those are the same as E46, but you want to go new on these because the old ones usually come out with the stud, and you want to make sure you can bottom all these out before you put your manifold on, because your old studs, there's a chance that they're only going to screw in so far until the nut starts to run up them, because they're all gross and everything from 20 years. So then you have a chance of not engaging very far into the head. And plus, you're putting all the money in the car anyways. You might as well do it right so you don't have to mess with this again. And whatever, that's like 20 bucks. And then this actually goes on the flange on the manifold where you mount the turbo. And these aren't like no crazy brand name ones. I've used these before on another build and I have never had issues with them. I just made sure I got the copper nuts, that style, so everything doesn't just rust together and never come apart again, and they worked great. And then these are OEM style gaskets. These are not for the M54, but they work for the M54. They're thicker and everything. You never want to use the cheap gaskets, especially when you're going turbo. You'll just blow them out. And I got these on FCP Hero also. I'll have a link to these. I'll have a link to all this in the description for you guys. With the turbo on the manifold, just to show you guys these studs. They are a little long, which is fine, but these are like a distorted lock nut type. You can see the grooves on top of the nut. So once they're ran all the way down, they grab really well. So I only tightened down one just to show you guys. So it's good that there's plenty of threads for this to grab onto. You never want a stud that's too short where it doesn't have a chance to actually grip on that stud. So I'll put a link in the description for these. They work great. You can probably find some better ones. If anything, I would say the side that goes into the manifold could have a little bit more threads, but I could strip out one of these nuts before it's gonna pull the threads out of the manifold. So these work great. And all this other stuff, these lines, the drain, that'll all be for another video. This is probably all I got for you guys today. It's just a little start to the series. This video could go on forever, but I'm just gonna upload these videos in shorter sections so people will actually watch them. Thanks, guys.